So it looks like the old adage of water is for fighting for and whiskey is for drinking still holds true in the southern San Joaquin Valley, as it's still a bit like the old Wild West as the region moves from flood control to flood management in light of the recent weather. Let's check it out. California's Central Valley, the breadbasket to the nation, was once an inland sea, surrounded by the Sierra Nevada mountains to the east and the Coast Range to the west. As the waters slowly receded and the sediments filled the valley, there remained two main drainages of this valley: the Sacramento River on the north half, running from north to south and draining out the San Francisco Bay, and the San Joaquin River running from south to north, draining out of the same location. And down here in the southern end of the San Joaquin Valley was the largest lake west of the Mississippi River, Tulare Lake, which has since been drained. The climate in the San Joaquin Valley is considerably different than that of here in Northern California. It's considerably drier, and the Tulare Lake bed is what's known as a endorheic, if I'm saying that correctly, lake where the water flows in, but it does not go out. Even though the lake has been drained for agriculture, it does flood and reappear from time to time, and this year it's going to reappear in a big way. So on this map, we can see some of the water courses that feed the Tulare Lake bed. We got the Kings River up north, which is dammed up by a concrete dam up here on Pine Flat Lake. We've got the Cahuilla River from Lake Cahuilla, an earth-filled dam. We'll take a look at some of these dams and some of the recent work that's been done on these dams, especially in light of the disaster up in Oroville. In recent years, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers have been doing considerable work on some of these lakes. Lake Success contains the Tule River, and Lake Isabella containing the Kern River. All this plus a number of other creeks like the White and the Poso all feed into the Tulare Lake bed. So in light of all the recent atmospheric rivers, which have been hitting this area even harder than up here in Northern California, plus the massive amount of snow and runoff, it was ordered that the local board of supervisors go ahead and cut a levee in the middle of the old Tulare Lake bed to drain the Tule River. So they cut about a 100-foot wide section of the levee with their approval and began reflooding the old Tulare Lake. As we zoom in on the Google Maps, you can see the old Tulare Lake bed right in here. So the Tule River comes out of the High Sierra, out of an area that's been widely devastated by wildfire, comes through Lake Success here, and then down the Tule River, and cuts right through the middle of the old Tulare Lake bed. And it's somewhere right here in the middle on the north side that they popped open that levee and began to allow that water to flow out and relieve the pressure on the Tule River to prevent flooding upstream in places like Porterville and some of these smaller towns in between. Why are they having such a problem with the flooding? And it is a periodic problem over the years, because a lot of this water coming into the area is not very well controlled. They have limited control over the water coming into the area. There are pumps and canals to move the water around, but let's take a closer look at the dam structures. Let's start by going from north to south, go up to Pine Flat Lake, which contains the Kings River, where there's a proper concrete dam built in the 1950s with 6 tainter gates on a spillway that cuts right through the concrete dam, plus a hydroelectric plant. Looks like 1, 2, 3, 4 turbines fed by 3 penstocks, which allows you to drain water from a lower level than that of the spillway. The spillway, you have to wait until the water level reaches the tainter gates before they can open that up and release the water into the Kings River. With a top elevation of 970 feet, they're allowing the Pine Flat Reservoir to continue to fill up, currently at 912 feet. And they've been able to keep up with the inflows. It looks like it maxed out at 32,000 CFS, cubic feet per second, back on the 10th. Next, let's move just down to the south to Lake Cahuilla. Lake Cahuilla, located just to the east of Visalia, is By the way, these lakes are much smaller lakes than what we're talking about up in Oroville and up in Northern California. But Lake Cahuilla is an earth-filled dam with an outlet structure located right here that drains right out here and has an emergency spillway with this concrete accordion-shaped affair right here, which has been overtopped recently, and that water pours out over the hard rock here and then right down the hillside and back into the regular water course. They're calling it Dry Creek here. Here's a great still shot from a video shot by Ag Alex on YouTube. See the link below, showing the dirt or earth dam here. Remember, you cannot ever overtop an earth-filled dam or it will fail, and it will fail spectacularly. Here's the water outlet system up here, and here's where this tube of water comes out of, down here. And here's the emergency spillway in operation with the water pouring over the accordion affair and then down the hillside back into the river. So Lake Cahuilla has been overfilled to the point where they needed to use the emergency spillway, and this probably will be the case again. Let's go find a look at the data. Today, Lake Cahuilla is at an elevation of 709 feet or 93% full, according to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. If we look at the CDEC data for the last series of days, back on the 16th when that video was shot, is that correct? Yeah. The elevation was 715 feet, and that's where this lake topped out at. It looks like, according to this data, they brought it back down to 709 feet. They had outflows approaching 6,000 CFS and inflows briefly anywhere around 25,000 and then 17,000. 25,000 back on the 10th and 17,000 on the 15th. So there's not a lot of room in that reservoir for additional flood control. As the water comes in, that last, 7% or so, it's just going to have to flow out over the emergency spillway in an uncontrolled fashion. There's no gates on the emergency spillway. It simply flows over the top. Now let's move down to Lake Success, which handles the Tule River, where a lot of work is being done by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Here's Tule Lake, located just east of Porterville and just abeam the old Tulare lake bed. And it's a relatively small and shallow lake with another earth-filled dam located right here. They've got a water outlet system located somewhere back down in here, which comes out right here. And they've got an emergency spillway located, this would be off of what's called the right abutment, looking downstream, is the emergency spillway, which has been undergoing quite a bit of work from the Corps of Engineers. So in this Google map picture, we can see the original Worth Drive or Avenue 146. They're relocating this road up here to the side of the mountain here, because every time this thing spills, it destroys this road. So they're moving the road and they're widening this spillway course right here. Now back on the 15th, the YouTube channel D-Man flew over Lake Success. Again, you see it's a shallow lake, but it was spilling over the emergency spillway. You can also see all the debris in the lake from all the fire damage located in the watershed above. And as we come around down to here, we can see the emergency spillway, while still under construction, working. So here's that roadway that gets inundated every time they run the emergency spillway. And here you can see the new roadway in place and working as planned. And that just diverts this water around the right, safely around the right abutment to the dam and down into the river below. And here's the waterworks where you can get the rest of the water out of this reservoir, and it pops out down here. But again, an emergency spillway with no gates. There is no flood control at this point. However much water is coming into the reservoir is moving right straight through the reservoir, impacting levees downstream. D-Man continues on downstream. This is on the 15th of March and shows you some of the flooding going on downstream. See the link below to his videos. Here D-Man is pointing out as the Tule River moves downstream through Porterville, a couple of homeless encampments alongside, and this debris can get caught up in this floodwater and create additional flooding, particularly when these floodwaters got to pass underneath a bridge that's located very close to the top of the water level. For example, this bridge right here, often the city will park a couple of excavators right there on top of the bridge and just sit there and collect the stuff as it comes running through the river and get it out of the way and prevent from clogging up and flooding and ruining the bridge. Here on the Tule River, we can see crews having trouble maintaining this section of levee into this farmland, and this is why they wanted to relieve the pressure on the Tule River by opening up that 100-foot wide break in the levee in the old Tulare dry lake bed to lower this water level, relieve some of this pressure on the Tule River upstream. Now here's an interesting piece of California aquaculture. The Tule River is crossing right over a aqueduct system which apparently passes underneath the Tule River. So the Tule River is heading west to the Tulare dry lake, and this aqueduct is moving water from north to south. So right now, as of today, the Success Lake is being reported as 88% full at an elevation of 647 feet. If we look at the CDEC data for Success Dam, back on the 15th and 16th, well, it looks like on the 10th, they had a huge inflow of 23,000 CFS. Again, these are very small lakes compared to Oroville, but nevertheless can be problematic. They cranked up the outflow, or it looks like the outflow went up to a peak of 9,600 CFS on the 15th, about the time of the date of that flyover. So at 657 feet, the highest level this lake got up to, it was topping that emergency spillway. And now they've been able to bring the lake back down to 647 feet. So not a lot of room for flood control. It's just simply flood management at this point. Now let's make one last stop down here to Lake Isabella to the south, damming up the Kern River, where quite a bit of work is being done on that dam and spillway system. And it's still under construction. Now Lake Isabella, I can't find the percent full data from the Army Corps of Engineers, but it says here full pool elevation of 2635. Now I don't know if that's full pool, the elevation of the water, or is that the top of the dam height? I'm not sure, but currently on the hourly report, the elevation is at 2,585 feet. I do not believe the spillway here at Isabella has spilled yet. They've been filling up the reservoir with minimal outflows. So the maximum outflow has only been about 3,700 CFS, which is as of today. And they have had some large inflows of 21,000 in. But let's check out the construction work that's going on right there. YouTuber Jonathan Vegas did a drone flyby. See the link below for the actual video. Here is the spillway that they are improving right here. They've designed a new OG weir. Remember, that's just kind of a wing-shaped concrete structure that the water can smoothly flow over. So again, in an uncontrolled fashion, once the water level reaches that level, it's just going to spill over. And then they've got this accordion-shaped emergency spillway, brand new, considerably higher, to really handle the high inflows to protect these two earth-filled dams at Lake Isabella. And again, you can see all the crap in the water from the fires in the watershed upstream, and you can also see a lot of the construction. They better get the trucks out of the way, boys, because the water's rising, and that's what they're doing. They're just going to finish cleaning this up, get the trucks out of the way, and let it flow. Here's what Lake Isabella looks like just outside of Bakersfield on the King River. It is a pair of earth-filled dams located here and here. Here is the main spillway that they're improving. Again, it's not a gated spillway. Then there's the OG weir, and this picture was taken before the new emergency spillway was being built. Now let's go take a look at a video from the Corps of Engineers on this construction. As we often say on this channel, if you overtop an earth-filled dam, you'll lose it. But there's additional threats as well.
There are three main safety risks that can cause a dam to fail, and Isabella has all three. The first are earthquakes. A seismic fault line lies directly under the dam. Once thought to be inactive, new data and science shows otherwise. Sudden, violent shaking could cause the dam to crack or collapse. Next is overtopping. A large storm could overwhelm the dam, filling it too quickly and causing erosion and uncontrolled water releases. When studying the dam, engineers found that the watershed has much more water flowing into it than previously thought. And finally, seepage. All dams leak, but too much can cause erosion. If left unchecked, Isabella's seepage could cause the dam to fail. Over the next few years, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers will upgrade the dam, bringing it up to the level of modern engineering standards and reducing the risk of dam failure. Construction will consist of four main parts: raising the main and auxiliary dams 16 feet, adding filter and drainage on the downstream slope of both dams, improving the stability of the existing service spillway, and creating an additional 300-foot wide emergency spillway and labyrinth weir.
So this construction project work is nearly complete. They've got the dams topped off to the higher level, both here and over here. And they've got the labyrinth, that's the word I was looking for, spillway completed. So it's ready for action. Now, I don't know if they're going to want to continue and fill in. Looks like they got some more concrete work to do down in here, but if they have to, they can use it. Hopefully they'll just only need to use this spillway here. But again, that'll be another uncontrolled release of water. Whatever comes in goes out during the melting of the snow this spring in the High Sierra. So just an interesting bit of flood management at this point. There's really no way to control the flooding with the limited amount of control, with the controls that you have in place here in the southern San Joaquin Valley. You can only just manage where the water goes, and maybe one of the best management solutions is to go ahead and reflood the Tulare Lake bed. By the way, this is the California Aqueduct that conveys water all the way from Northern California to the bottom of Southern California. Thanks so much for your support of this channel, especially the folks over on Patreon that make this content possible. See you here.